Okay, let's get started. We're in the endocrine system. The endocrine systems produce hormones, regulate your whole body function. And hormones are the chemical signals. They're able to bind with receptor in the cells and trigger response. And their regulations through the negative feedback. So the hormones concentration need to be maintained. These slides show you your endocrine organs in your endocrine system. So you found your whole body, you have a lot of endocrine organs, start from your brain to your gonad. And the hormones produced by the endocrine cells can be put into 3 different categories. Let's look at these 2 first. First one is called the peptide hormone. Peptide hormones are made of amino acid. So they connect together through the peptide bond. That's why we call them peptide hormone. The second one, we call them steroid hormones. So these are the steroid hormones that are made of steroid, cholesterol. And the third one, we call them amine. Amine is one amino acid. So their functions, they are made of one amino acid. But functionally, some of them work like peptide hormones, like the epinephrine released by the autonomic nervous system. They behave exactly like peptide. They can have the thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormones is the hormones released from the thyroid glands. They actually behave like steroid hormones, like testosterone. So this is 3 different categories. And each hormone have their target cells. And the target cells are the cells with the receptor. The receptor, like you release insulin, insulin will bind with insulin receptor. So the cells with the insulin receptor are the target cells of insulin. So after you eat a big meal, your pancreas beta cells release insulin. And the insulin will be carried by your blood. It will reach everywhere. It's going to go to your brain, going to go to your muscle. But it has no function in the brain because your neuron, that's your brain cells, have no insulin receptor. And when they go to the muscle is a big target of insulin because they have the insulin receptor. And when the insulin binds with the insulin receptor, will trigger the muscle to function. The function is to bring more glucose back into the muscle, so that eventually they can lower the blood sugar level, the blood glucose level. And the insulin will bind with the receptor on the cell membrane. So this kind of receptor we call an extracellular receptor. They're located on the cell membrane. Therefore, for peptide hormones, and some amines like the epinephrine, norepinephrine also belong to this category. And the reason is this kind of hormone, they won't be able to go through the cell membrane. So the receptor have to be put on the cell membrane. And after they bind with the receptor, they trigger a second messenger system called the cyclic AMP. So this picture shows you how the molecular response after the peptide hormone bind with the receptor. So first, when the hormones come, they will bind with the membrane receptor, and it will activate. They have the inside part called the G protein, will activate the protein inside the cell, and it will trigger the second messenger, cyclic AMP, being activated. And when cyclic AMP being activated, they will activate other proteins inside the cell, and the cell will respond. Like if this is the muscle will take more glucose in and lower your blood sugar level. For steroid hormones, the hormone made of cholesterol, and in Unit 1 we talk about cholesterol have no problem goes through the cell membrane. And also thyroid hormone T3, T4, and they also can walk through the cell membrane, so they will bind with intracellular receptor. And their response, like steroid hormone, thyroid hormone, they have no problem go through the cell membrane. And when they've been released to the target cells, they put the receptor in the cytosol. So they will bind with intracellular receptor, and the receptor is inside already, so it will go into the nucleus. and it will trigger the transcription, translation, produce new protein. So for the steroid hormone, their usual response is new protein synthesis. And hormones were carried by blood. So hormones are the endocrine systems. The endocrine cells will release directly to the blood and travel by blood. And eventually they will be inactivated. They will be removed by liver, by kidney. Now let's go to different endocrine glands and look at each of them, their function. The first one is pituitary gland, also called hypophysis. Pituitary gland, there are 9 different hormones released from there. 7 from the anterior pituitary gland and 2 from the posterior pituitary gland. And all their response, they'll bind with cyclic AMP as a second messenger, trigger the second messenger system. So all of them are peptide hormone. And that's your pituitary gland. So the pituitary gland will protect this bone called sphenoid bone. We talk about that in the bone system. And pituitary gland just sit in the sphenoid bones. So you have the anterior pituitary gland, posterior pituitary gland. The anterior pituitary gland is regulated by hypophyseal portal system. Portal system definition is the capillary connect with another capillary. And it's unique structure because the capillary is supposed to connect the artery to the vein, and you have a capillary connect to another capillary. We call the portal system. In your body, you have 3 portal systems. One is hypophyseal portal system, so it connects your hypothalamus to your pituitary gland. So your anterior pituitary gland is under the regulation of hypothalamus, and the hormones control is maintained by negative feedback. We talk about negative feedback in Unit 1. To maintain something, maintain the stable environment, you need to go through the negative feedback. And the way it triggers is like this. So start from hypothalamus, go through the portal system. Like this is the stress pathway. When you see a bear coming towards you, and you're going to release stress hormone, which is cortisol. So it starts from hypothalamus, release a CRH, that's the hormone. It will go to the anterior pituitary gland through the portal system, and anterior pituitary gland will trigger ACTH release. ACTH will release to the blood, it go to the whole body, and the target is adrenal glands. Adrenal glands stay above your kidney, and they can release stress hormone called cortisol. So that's how they trigger. And through negative feedback, your body concentration are maintained. Concentration of each hormones are well maintained. And this is another example. So that's the sex hormone pathway. Start from the hypothalamus, release GnRH. GnRH and will go to the anterior pituitary gland, trigger the FSH, LH. Both hormones, both male and female have this too, but they use the function in female's body to name these 2 hormones, like a follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. And these 2 hormones will release to the blood, goes to the whole body. So in the males, you're gonna go to the gonad, and the gonad can release the male sex hormone testosterone. And testosterone has a lot of function. It makes the male look like a male, and the concentration is well maintained through negative feedback. And you may heard, okay, they have the testosterone abuse. They just inject a lot of testosterone because this makes the male look like a male, so you can have a big muscle by injecting this, but you totally interrupt the hormones balance. So this slide shows you the hypophyseal portal system. So you have a capillary in the hypothalamus connect to another capillary in the anterior pituitary gland. And these are the hormones released from the anterior pituitary gland, including the thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. That's the hormone go to the thyroid gland, ask thyroid gland to produce T3, T4. And this is the ACTH. So in the stress pathway, this one will go to your adrenal gland, release cortisol. And the follicle-stimulating hormone is one of these two hormone trigger the gonad produce sex hormone. And luteinizing hormone is another one, another trigger the sex hormone release. Prolactin is the hormone directly released from your anterior pituitary gland. Its function is go to the mammary gland in the breast and trigger the milk production. Growth hormone, its function is during puberty, it will ask your body to grow, especially the bone to grow. And melanocyte stimulating hormones, so far we don't know much of the function yet. These two are the hormone released from the posterior pituitary gland. And posterior pituitary gland is totally the nervous system. So there are cells located, their neurons located in the hypothalamus, and their axons extend out to the posterior pituitary gland. They release two hormones. One is ADH, also called vasopressin. Its function is antidiuretic, so it will ask your body to take more water back. The target is kidney. So when you are thirsty, your urine becomes more concentrated because your body releases more ADH. So your body takes more water back, and turn out you have less water go to your urine. Your urine becomes more concentrated. And oxytocin is another hormone released from your posterior pituitary gland. Its function is milk delivery. We call it milk letdown reflex, and that's triggered by oxytocin. Okay, let's take a break.